Board of Education meeting in open session at 5 p.m. We have a quorum present with what we expect to have all board members in attendance. Please note that this meeting is being both recorded and live streamed for public viewing. I would like to welcome the community members in attendance this evening. As a reminder, governing board meetings are a business meeting of the board held in public, and although public participation is encouraged, it is not the public's meeting. It is the duty of the board president and/or clerk of the board to maintain an orderly and respectful and peaceful meeting where all perspectives, voices, and opinions are welcome. Please refrain from speaking while another person has the floor. I would like to announce for the record that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953B concerning teleconferencing meetings. Board member Eleanor Briggs is participating in the meeting by teleconference from Hilo Public Library. 300 Waianuanua Avenue in Hilo, Hawaii. 96720, if anyone wants to go check on her. In accordance with the Brown Act, this location has been identified on the agenda for this meeting. I would now like to ask Board Member Briggs to respond to the following questions. Are you able to hear our proceedings on this end?
Yes, yes.
Excellent. Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes, yes.
Has the agenda been posted at your location?
Yes, yes.
Is your location such that any member of the public could participate in the public portions of this teleconference meeting from your location?
Yes, yes.
Members of the board, are you able to hear Board Member Briggs?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we are having a meeting with teleconferencing, all actions will be by a roll call vote. Item D1, the board did take formal action in closed session. Is that true? Or no?
Do it.
No formal action was taken in closed session, but there'll be proceedings
Got
in
it.
open session later today
Understood.
regarding the discussion.
Yep, there was no formal action taken in closed session. Item D2, Ms. Nancy Young, I call on you for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item D3, approval of agenda, calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, Ms. Young.
Aye.
Mr. Pardue, aye. Mrs. Schmidt.
Aye.
Mrs. Briggs.
Aye. Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Communications, item E1, presentation of potential general obligation bond bowling results. Am I
good
doing
evening.
this right?
Yep.
Just checking? Yep.
All right.
I call
Good
on
evening,
Dan
everybody.
Daniels. Sorry, go ahead.
Thanks, President Perdue, trustees, Madison. Tonight, we have two special guests with us. We have Dr. Tim McClarney from True North Research and Joey Coomer from Team Civics. They'll be familiar faces for you. But tonight, Dr. McClarney is here to provide the results of the community opinion polling for a potential bond measure for November's ballot. And Joy will back clean up a little bit with just some next steps for us. And so I'll turn it over to Dr. McClarney.
Thank you, Darren, and good evening, President Pardue, members of the board. Tim McClarney, President of True North Research. And as I mentioned, when I met with you a couple months back, we're a firm that specializes in working with school districts around the state in using surveys to help them develop a statistically reliable understanding of the communities and customers that they serve. To date, we've worked on over 1,500 research studies. About half of the work we do these days is bond measure feasibility studies for school districts, like what we'll be talking about here tonight. I mention this mainly because as I go through tonight's presentation, I may make reference to how the results we're seeing here in Murrieta compared to what we might normally see when we're working with other school districts on similar studies. And I just want you to have a sense from the experience base from which I'd be speaking. I also welcome questions from the board along the way or at the end, whichever is your preference. So I believe there's a slideshow. There we go.
It's coming.
Okay, great. And so before we jump in and talk about the results, helpful to take a quick moment to review the purpose of the study as well as the methodology. In terms of the purpose of the study, for a bond and feasibility study, we're really trying to address the 3 bullets you see here on the slide. The first is to answer that basic question of, is it feasible? And what I mean by that is if you as a board were to choose to place a measure on an upcoming ballot, does it have a reasonable chance of success? Answer to that question is not always yes, right? A lot of times we do this work, and when we get the data back, there just isn't a clear path to get you from where you are today to where you need to be viable on election day. And if that were the case, I'd be the first person to tell you that. When we do find feasibility, that second bullet kicks in gear, which is to understand how might you go about structuring a bond measure in a way that it's consistent with the type of measure that your community is interested in supporting. There's a lot of facets or aspects to a bond package. There's that overall bond amount, how much would this be for? There's the tax rate that underlies it. There's the project list. If you had a successful measure, what types of improvements would you be including on that project list for your bond measure? There's also accountability provisions that can be built into these measures. And so all of these sort of important decisions that you as a board would ultimately have to make prior to placing a bond on the ballot, the research can help guide those. And then thirdly, it's an opportunity for us to understand the role that information plays in sort of shaping voters' opinions about your measure, which in turn can sort of help guide future communication efforts. In terms of the methodology or how we went about conducting the study, we use the same methodology here that we always use when we're looking at the feasibility of a bond measure. And the first question you want to ask yourself when you're thinking about a revenue measure survey like this is, what election are you considering for this measure? Different elections have different turnouts, and as you sort of expand or shrink turnout, you will get a different profile to the participating group of voters in that election. So in this case, we were looking at that likely November 2026 election, so the one that's coming up later this year. We identified every individual on the registered voter file who we expect to be casting ballots in that election based on when they registered to vote within the district, what elections they've participated in since that point, as well as some other demographics. We flag those individuals as what we call likely November voters. These are folks we expect to actually cast ballots. Once we've identified that group, we use a process called stratified and clustered random sampling to choose a representative subsample of that larger November universe that lines up on all the dimensions that we know tend to drive how voters behave when it comes to bond measures. So the balance in our sample by age, by gender, by partisanship, by household party type, by where they live within the district, the balance on our sample matches the balance in that likely November universe. And that is really one of the keys or sort of the foundation for making sure this research is reliable. Once we pulled our sample, we used 3 different recruiting methods: email, text, and telephone. Everything's pin protected so that only those individuals that we recruited to take the survey could do so. They could complete it one time only. They had the choice of doing it either by telephone or online, whichever was their preference, as well as in English and Spanish. Now, we had contracted to do 500 completed interviews, which is more than enough to meet the academic standard for statistical reliability. We walked back in the door with 620. Seems like every time I've surveyed in Murrieta, whether it be for the school district or we also do work for the city, we always get a really good response rate. And so I have to make some guesstimates at the outset about what I think we're going to get. I tended to err conservatively, and so we get to walk back in the door with an extra 120 interviews. The advantage of that is with a higher sample size, you have a smaller margin of error due to sampling. In this case, it's plus or minus 3.9%. So what that means is we can be 95% confident that the results we'll talk about in tonight's presentation are within 3.9% of what we would have found had we spoken with all of your likely November voters. Okay, so on to the results. Actually, right before that, I want to show this table here. I mentioned the stratified and clustered random sample that we use to make sure that our sample lines up with the universe of voters. And what you see in this column is the middle column is the percentage distribution of likely November voters by age, party, household party type, home ownership, as well as trustee area. And to the right is the distribution within our sample. And you can see that we're in like within 2% in every single category. One thing you'll know at the trustee area, there is variation, even though trustee areas are based on census data and you try and get the populations even across your 5 trustee areas, the registered voter population and in turn the likely voter populations are a little different, right? So trustee areas will vary in terms of the percentage of the total likely electorate that they comprise. You can see that in the universe of likely November voters, and you also see it in our sample distribution. Okay, so now on to the results. This first slide shows the results of what we call our importance of issues question. And for each of the issues you see there on the slide, we simply ask voters to tell us how important is this to you. Is it extremely important, very important, somewhat important, or not all important? This is a great warm-up question. Gets voters thinking about local issues. It's also an opportunity, though, for us to understand how education as a topic stacks up against other issues that also compete for tax dollars. And in particular, how does that issue of maintaining the quality of education in local public schools stack up against repairing and upgrading, stack up against preventing local tax increases? And you can see that in this particular case, at the very top of the list, maintaining the quality of education in local public schools stacked up at 93%. It was the most important issue to residents, followed by reducing crime and gang activity, maintaining local streets and roads, and on down. If you look at preventing local tax increases, that came in at 67%. So you've got about a 26-point gap in the importance assigned to those two items. What we tend to find is, makes sense, the higher up in the list that improving the quality of, or maintaining the quality of education in local schools stacks up relative to this issue, the better positioned you are to move forward with some type of bond or tax measure. In this case, your gap is 26%. That is actually a little larger than what we were seeing on average the last election cycle. So things can vary over time. I always like just sort of compare to the 2024 cycle. For most districts that we worked with in that cycle, they were seeing gaps of like 22, 23, 24%. So we got a little bit of a better gap here, which is a good thing. The other thing, though, I will point out is you see repairing and upgrading aging school facilities checks in at 67% at the bottom of the list. I mention that not because it's unusual, right? But what you tend to find is that when it comes to education, what voters care about isn't so much the facilities as what happens inside those facilities, right? And so when you're thinking about a bond measure and moving forward, it's really important that you connect the dots between what it is you're fixing or building or constructing in terms of your facilities, but why it matters to that number one issue at the top, right, that they care about. How repairing and upgrading aging school facilities connects to that mission you have of educating students and the experiences they'll have. So from there, after the importance of issues question, we get right down to business with what we call the initial ballot test. And the idea here is, before we get any deeper into this interview and discussion with a respondent and start talking in more detail about how the funds could be used, as well as presenting arguments pro and con related to this proposal, we want to present to them a mock-up of what we think that 75-word ballot statement could look like and get their reaction. The initial ballot test is a really good gauge of where your voters are at on the natural with respect to this proposal. Now, what you see up here is very standard bond ballot language. You see this all the time across the state when you're looking at potential bond measures for school districts, with one exception, and that is right in the sort of below the bullets, second line down, you see in parentheses, without increasing current tax rates. What this means is you have what's called a bond extension as opposed to a new bond. Normally, when you pass a bond, what happens is you're going to see an increase in the tax rates based on that bond, right? So you pass a bond, and let's say the tax rate is $60 per 100,000 assessed. Everybody's property taxes will go up by $60 per 100,000 of their assessed value. When you have a bond extension, what that allows you to do is to pass a bond without actually increasing the tax rate that property owners are currently paying. You're simply extending that rate out into the future, right? So the way you capture this in a 75-word ballot statement is in the parentheses of saying without increasing current tax rates. So that's the language we tested, and here are the results. So at that initial ballot test, we had 63% of likely November voters say that they would support this proposal. You had 26% opposed. You had about 10% who were unsure or preferred not to answer the question. In the state of California, for a Prop 39 bond to be successful, you need 55% support. So we're sitting about 8 points north of that 55% threshold that's required for passage at this point. Now, I gave you a little instruction on sort of explanation of what a bond extension is. Within that 75 words, I'm going to go back. The only way we can capture that in the 75 words is in that parentheses without increasing current tax rates. Nevertheless, it's followed by levying $60 per 100,000 assessed. suddenly you're talking about tax rates again. It can be a little confusing, right? So not everybody gets the bond extension concept out of the 75 words. And so what we do is after the initial ballot test, we inform them that voters approved a bond in the past to construct and repair local school facilities. The current tax rate for that bond is about $60 per 100,000 of assessed valuation. The measure we've been discussing would not increase the property tax rate that your household currently pays. It would simply extend that current $60 tax rate previously approved by voters for an additional period of time to make priority repairs and improvements. So we explain the bond extension concept after that 75 words. When we do that, it's a bit of a game changer. We go from 63% to 73%. Based on them understanding that what this is, meaning they didn't necessarily get it out of the 75 words, but once you explain the basics of a bond extension and the fact that they can vote yes on this and it won't increase the property taxes that their current household currently pays, we see support at 73%. That is a full 18 points north of the 55% threshold that's required for passage. Here is how this breaks down by trustee area and also by homeownership. And so it's interesting that you see a lot of consistency by trustee area. The range is from, I think, 71% up to about 76% support. All, are 15 plus points above that 55% threshold. And what's interesting too is the homeownership. Normally when you look at bonds and homeownership, you tend to see a little bit softer support among homeowners than you do renters. And at the initial ballot test, that was the case. The moment we explained the bond extension concept, homeowners actually passed renters in terms of their support for the measure. Okay, so after the initial ballot test and the bond extension concept clarification, we get right into what we call, and I think I skipped a slide here. Oop, hold on. Sorry. Well, user error. What did I do? There we go. I think I need to go back one. There we go. Well, there. Okay. So after the ballot test, we get into what we call the projects and improvements section of the poll. Here is where we're going to do two things. One, we're now going to start to educate respondents more about what this measure would accomplish than they could possibly glean from that 75-word ballot statement. You've only got about 35 words in the ballot statement to talk about projects. Here we get to unpack it into all these potential uses. And in that way, respondents are getting a better idea about what it is they're voting on. The other thing it allows us to do is understand of all the ways that you can spend the money of a bond, how do your voters feel about those projects, and which of these are ultimately their priorities. I have broken this list into two tiers because as hard as it is to read and broken into two tiers, it's even a lot harder to read when you break it, keep it all on one slide. So nothing magical about the break there, but you can see that every project listed on tier one has 85% plus of voters say that they would favor spending some of the money on that item. When you get to the very top of the list, sort of the top four, we're seeing some things here that we have been seeing a lot, not just this cycle, but in past cycles as well. So the number one issue just being basic repairs to your older facilities. You're fixing roofs, plumbing, gas lines, sewer lines, ventilation, electrical systems where needed. Number two, AC. We're seeing this now around the state. Air conditioning or HVAC units were kind of not a particularly exciting item in the past, but now we're seeing more of that as we're seeing hotter temperatures, and also a lot of districts, because during the pandemic they ran the ACs with additional filters, and a lot of those units are now, you're putting more wear and tear on them, and so they're needing replacement. But then you follow that up with CTE as well as STEM. So pretty common combination of things that rise to the top of the list here. Second list here, I won't go through the details other than to say that, even the things that kind of are at the bottom of the list still have 78% or more of your voters say that they would favor spending some of the money on the item. So everything we're testing and you're considering of spending bond proceeds on is popular. So if you take action as a board down the line to put a measure on the November ballot, there will be an election cycle. And during that election cycle, there will be a lot of discussion and debate in the community about your proposal. You'll undoubtedly have folks who will step up, go out, advocate to their friends and neighbors about why this is needed and why they should vote yes. You might also get some critics. People step up, say this is a terrible idea, we shouldn't be doing it, and here is why. For this to be a reliable gauge of the feasibility of a bond measure, we need to simulate that discussion and debate, both the pros and the cons, in the space of this poll. So we have a good understanding not only of where your voters are today, which was that initial ballot test, but what happens after they are positives and what might happen if you get opposition and they're vocal. So we do that by testing both positive and negative arguments. Shown here is the first tier of positive arguments. You can see a lot of these get positive traction with your voters. We saw previously that HVAC was one of the top two projects. It happened to also wind up being the number one positive argument was related to HVAC, and that it regularly gets to over 100 degrees in our area. Many of the school classrooms have air conditioning units that are 25 years old and starting to fail. We need to upgrade the air conditioning to provide suitable learning environments. And so a lot of these messages are factual like that, right? They're not pulling at the heartstrings. You're just sort of telling voters about the condition of your facilities and your equipment and using specifics. So after the positive arguments, if you think about it, at this point, voters have heard more about this proposal than they did initially. They had a chance to learn about the bond extension concept. They had a chance to learn in more detail how you propose to spend the money. They've been exposed to the positive arguments here. They have yet to hear negatives. So we circled what we call the interim ballot test, and it's where we present that same 75-word ballot statement and ask them, now that you've heard a bit more, where do you stand? And you can see that at the interim ballot test, we're checking in at 70% support. So that's about 15 points north of the 55% threshold that's required for passage. And then we get to the negatives. The idea behind the negatives is I'm going to put my critic hat on, and I'm going to convey a series of arguments that are designed to give voters reasons to vote no, right? I want to pressure test voter support for this proposal. How resilient is your yes vote? Should you get opposition? Should they be vocal? Should they get their message out? And so we test a series of negative arguments that you see here, and you can identify that some of these arguments get traction. The one at the top of the list is the number one negative in most school bond measures that I do around the state, and that's just the idea that now's not a good time, right? That we've got inflation, we got cost of living increases, we got high interest rates, people are struggling, now's not a good time to raise taxes. You will hear that in every election cycle. Now's not a good time. Sometimes the reasons vary, but you'll always hear that, right? So we test a series of negative arguments in the voice of an opponent to see how much support we can carve off. And the answer to that is here at the final ballot test. So you can see that the negative arguments got some traction. They reduced support for the bond by about 10 points. But even with that carve off, we're still sitting at 60% at the final ballot test. So we are still 5 points above that 55% threshold that's required for passage of a Prop 39 bond. So what does all this mean? Just a couple wrap-up slides here. I'm going to circle back first to that overarching sort of motivation that I mentioned at the outset as to why you conduct this research, which is to answer the basic question of, is it feasible, right? If you as a board move forward with a measure in November of 2026 that has a reasonable chance of success, I think the answer to that is clearly yes, based on these numbers, for all the things that you see there under the positive signs, right? All the pieces we want to see in place for a measure to have a reasonable shot at success are here. We saw that maintaining the quality of education in local schools was the most important issue facing the community, and there was a sizable gap between that issue and the issue of preventing local tax increases. That resulted in what I would call sufficient natural support. You had 63% at the initial ballot test, which is 8 points above the 55. And then the moment we got a chance to clarify what a bond extension is and the fact that you can pass this bond without actually increasing the property taxes that homeowners are paying, support jumped to 73%. All the projects that we tested and that you're considering spending bond proceeds on were popular. We've got positive arguments that resonate with voters. And importantly, at each point in the poll where we circled back to a respondent, we said, now that you've heard a bit more, where do you stand? At each one of those ballot tests, we had results that were above 55, and that was even after testing a series of hard-hitting negative arguments, right? When we see those kind of pieces in place, it tells us, I think you not only have a reasonable shot at success, I think you have a good solid shot at success based on these numbers. Now, with that, I would also point out a few challenges that come out of the poll, or that if you step away from the poll and you think about what the November election cycle is going to look like, we just have to be mindful of. The first one is really that the clarity around the bond and tax rate extension. I mentioned in the 75 words, you can only say so much to kind of get that concept across. And we had in the parentheses, without increasing current tax rates. We see that we've got about a 10-point increase after that, the moment we explain the bond concept. So the number one communications challenge related to a bond is to make sure voters understand this is a bond extension. It's not going to increase the tax rate your household currently pay. That's a challenge in the sense that we don't have that 10% on the natural, but it's an opportunity, right? That becomes something you can message on. We did see that the negative arguments get some traction. And then if you sort of step back from the polling and you think about kind of the environment we're in today and where we're likely to be in November, there are some what I call unknowns. And I put the part in parentheses because we do know about these things. We already know about tariffs. We know about inflation. We know about concerns people may have about the economy. But the reality is, although we know where we're at today, we don't necessarily know what's going to unfold in the next 9 months. The reason I bring these challenges up is not because I think that they are insurmountable challenges. They're not. I think you've got a measure that can withstand these, but you want to always put a measure on the ballot that can withstand some headwinds, right? You want to measure that should some of these things evolve in ways that create a little adversity, okay, that's okay. We can still overcome that. We can still be successful. And so with that in mind, a couple observations and recommendations. The first thing I'll point out is, a poll like this is, as sort of proud I am of our methodology and our track record with this, I think it's great, but it's not a crystal ball, right? If I had a crystal ball, I'd probably charge more for it. This poll was not saying, looking ahead to Election Day, saying you're getting 63%, right? What it's saying is, here's where we are today, right? Here's how your voters tend to react to the information they can encounter during an election cycle, right? But ultimately, what dictates what happens on Election Day isn't what your poll says today. It's everything that happens from this point forward. And I mention that mainly because it's really important that we make smart decisions about the type of measure that you put in front of your voters so that it reflects what their priorities are and preferences. And secondly, that you put the work in both in terms of communications. Some of those communications are things that the district can and should do as a public agency. You can't advocate up or down, but you can inform, right? You can give voters the information they need to come to a well-informed decision on their own. And then ultimately, there would need to be an independent campaign that would be privately funded, separate from not mine, I don't think.
Would be from our remote location.
Might
Okay.
be Eleanor's.
Okay, sorry. It's like,
Can she mute herself?
we've got a guest.
Okay, I think that would help.
So ultimately, aside from, if you choose to move forward with the measure, that ultimately there would need to be an independent campaign. This is not district funded. This is private dollars, private individuals who would go out and advocate for this measure during the election cycle. So that's the end of my polling slides. I'm happy to take polling related questions now, or Joy can step up. There's one more slide behind mine, and then we can handle questions later, whichever is your preference.
No, I don't have any questions myself. Do any of the board members have questions for him about the polling?
Oh, I understand it.
Okay, well, I'll bring Joy up.
Looks like it was quite thorough.
Good evening, Superintendent, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be with you again this evening. Joy Coomer with Team Civics. I just wanted to bring back up the planning timeline. We've gone over this a couple times, but just a reminder of where we are and where we're going. In order to place a bond on the ballot, you have to actually vote before August 7th. That would qualify you for the November 2026 ballot. I know sometimes it feels like August is still a ways away. We've been doing a lot since we've started this process, and I think a lot of that has been involving community members and outreach. So at the very beginning here, as a reminder, we started with testing. You are in that facilities master planning process. It's soon to be wrapping up here. But we've also been doing the community outreach. So we had our first facilities advisory committee meeting. We're actually set to do a second advisory committee meeting coming up here in another week or two. if my memory serves me correctly. At the first meeting, we had over 100, I think it was close to 100 people in attendance. It was a very full room. People were really excited. I had a lot of people talk to me afterwards about the proposal. So I do think that there is a good interest, not just from school district personnel, but what impressed me was the families, parents who came up and spoke to me afterwards, and just general community members as well. So people are appreciating the thoughtful process that the district is going through the facilities master plan, as well as these facilities advisory committee meetings. As we continue to move forward over these next few months, we're going to continue to vet this proposal with the community. Again, those are non-advocacy communications. So we're using your existing communication channels, the ways that you already communicate with the community and your families. But we're also going to do an informational mailer that goes out to all registered voters, as well as all parents, regardless of registration. This gives them an opportunity to share their feedback with us as well. So whether or not you've taken part in the facilities master plan process or even the facilities advisory committees, there's another way for you to participate and share your feedback about the district's intended proposal. So our mailer will have a QR code on it. We'll actually be sharing it with the facilities advisory committee so they can kind of see it, at least visually. But people can scan the QR code, or there's a mail-in survey that they can write their comments on and share feedback with as well. This is continuing to make sure that we're in a two-way dialogue with the community, with registered voters, again, regardless of whether they're planning to vote this November or not, but also with your parents, regardless of whether they're registered to vote or not. These are two communities that we think it's really important to continue to have feedback from as we go through this process. When we get information back from those sources, of course, I'll be back to share those with you as well, so it can help you as you continue to make decisions going forward. This will help us continue to refine the proposal, determine community readiness, and share that information with you. That next step before it actually gets to the ballot is putting together the resolution and the project list. So I know as part of the upcoming study sessions and other things that the district is going through, that you'll have an opportunity to begin to refine those pieces as well. So just showing again that we're trying to be very thorough, thoughtful, and transparent about this process as we go forward, which hopefully helps the board in making their decision as we get to that point. That last step, as Tim mentioned in his slide deck, is that independent campaign committee. We have had people express interest in already being a part of that, so that's kind of exciting to hear people are interested in taking that piece up. But that is the typical place where you think about those things that are fun, that are part of a campaign. Lawn signs, walking, mailings. Those are things that the district cannot do. We can't take a side. We can only provide information. So that'll be a separate effort should the board decide to move forward and put something on the ballot. So this is our timeline and our process. Again, just seeing if anybody has any questions.
No questions. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, next up, we have student representative reports from Chevallo Middle School. I call in Mr. Jason Ham, principal of Chevallo Middle School.
Good evening. I'm Jason Ham, principal of Chevallo Middle School. Under the direction of Cheryl Thompson, I have Natalie that is going to introduce our web team. Come on up, Natalie. Yep. Introduce whoever you want.
We have Chloe Inman and Aurora, Kendall, and Lexi. And Ms. Thompson, of course. Who could forget her?
The microphone moves down, you can move it down.
WEB is a middle school transition program that welcomes sixth graders and makes them feel comfortable throughout the first year of their middle school experience. WEB, an acronym for Where Everybody Belongs, is built on the belief that students want and can help other students succeed. Our mission is to support sixth graders through connections, friendships, and activities.
WEB trains students of the 7th and 8th grade class to be WEB leaders as positive role models. WEB leaders are motivators, leaders, and teachers who guide sixth graders in building relationships so they feel more comfortable around their peers.
WEB creates a safe and comfortable environment for our new sixth graders. While the transition to middle school can be a confusing event for most, WEB was developed to fix that problem. This transition program is based on the very successful high school transition program, Link Crew.
WEB plans and implements breaks at first break. Sixth grade favorites are musical chairs and the pool noodle game. This year, many of our previous sixth graders want to join in the fun, so we have expanded our participants to include those who would like to join in the fun.
Jams are monthly after-school activities that celebrate friendship and building connections through games, crafts, music, and snacks. Our holiday jam was so fun. We showed a movie, served hot chocolate, popcorn, and we even had cotton candy. It was really exciting to see our Panthers enjoying time together.
School-wide events and spirit weeks are key in promoting school spirit. All of the leadership classes work together, especially our last event, the Great Kindness Challenge. WEB planned the theme, We See All the World Through Kind Eyes, where students were to wear sunglasses. We also had a kindness jam to celebrate Show Your Kind and played beach ball buddy relay to emphasize that everyone can be kind no matter what.
Okay. WEB plans all the events for incoming fifth graders. In the beginning of the year, we help with Panther Prowl and have our new WEB leader orientation that helps new leaders run events and connect with sixth graders. This year in August, we had 468 students at our rally, and we are very excited for our next event. It's our middle school kickoff, where WEB hosts incoming fifth graders and their families to tour Shavela, enjoy performances from our cheer squad, and band in multiple clubs, as well as our PTSA in administration.
We'd like to thank you and ask that you join us in one of our favorite games, Pool Noodle.
So when you say join, like who's coming down? Oh, okay, that's us.
Oh, we're gonna do it now.
Come on around. The girls are going to get further down. We're going to get a circle. Circle. In the circle. You're each going to take a pool noodle.
One? Okay.
No. Come closer this way.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Are we hitting?
No, we are not hitting each other.
Okay, wait.
So you're going to put the noodle on the ground?
Like this?
Yep.
Demonstrate?
Yep. Put it up right here.
Come on. Are they playing or are they just watching?
Yeah, come on.
So this is the demonstration?
This is the demonstration.
Okay. Oh, we gotta move.
Yeah, we're going to go. It takes a lot of coordination. And I like to win. So.
So,
When one of the leaders say 1, 2,
say 1, 2, 3, go. Yep.
So are you, okay, so it's just the,
It's just
right
the
here.
three of us.
We're going left?
We're gonna go left.
And we move, I'm moving.
You're moving to his.
You have to catch it before it falls.
Yep. One.
There's a trick to it.
There's no trick. You're cheating. That's the trick. 1, 2, 3, go. One. Only one, or you're out. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, well done. Now take a step back.
What?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go. Take a step back. Take a step back.
Oh my gosh.
1, 2, 3, go. Well done. Well, 1, 2, 3, go. I'm out, but I dropped it. I dropped it. I have to be honest. Okay. So now you close it down. 1, 2, 3, go. Take a step back.
I'm out.
Oh, he's out.
You took that on purpose.
Yeah, you did.
Take a step back. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh! There we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Go, Max. 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah. We'll stop. You get the gist of the game. There you go.
It was starting to get pretty competitive.
Yeah, that's where we're headed. Well, before you guys take off, I do want to tell you, Chevelis students, I want to tell you how great it is, one, to see you guys take on what the Link Crew does. I teach high school, and there's a lot of anxiety coming into middle school, and that you're making that effort. That great kindness challenge to show kindness to those sixth graders is amazing. So I'm really proud of what you guys are involved in. It looks like you're doing a great job. So thanks for coming and sharing with us.
And I would just like to say, oh wait, don't go yet.
Hold on, we got one more comment.
Don't go yet.
You
Wait,
got
one
more
more thing.
applause.
I just wanted to say too, like I told you down there, but I'm going to add that to my repertoire of party games. That's awesome. That's fun. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, Shivela baby.
Thank you. Oh, that was fun.
All right, thanks guys. Have a great night. Thank you. I know. Someone's trying to hustle.
I'm like, whoa. No, I did not. Oh, it worked out well.
All right, next up, we have Murrieta Canyon Academy. I call on Mr. Matt Bean.
Good evening, Dr. Andrus, members of the board, cabinet, and our community. I definitely did not bring noodles to play with, so I already feel a little overwhelmed. As an alternative ed school and the administrator that oversees that, we have an umbrella of many different programs. And last time I was here, I think in November, we brought our leadership from our high school daily program. Tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce you to another facet of our program. We're going to talk about independent study at both the middle and the high school level. And we have Miss Jody Spoon, one of our counselors. We have Gabriel David and Mason Natividad. They're going to share some information with you, and then our students are going to give kind of a testimonial on their experience through independent study, all the way to co-enrollment and things like that. So without further ado, Ms. Spoon.
Thank you, Mr. Bean. Good evening. Thank you for having us here. We are really excited to share with you about some of the alternative learning opportunities within Murrieta. All right. So one thing that's pretty interesting is that we want to make sure that with our independent study that we are creating those flexible pathways, that we're providing personalized support for all of our students, because with Murrieta Canyon Academy, all of our students are Phoenix, and we like to see them rise to success. So first off, I want to kind of explain, because it's kind of hard to wrap your head around it. I'm in it every day, so it's kind of like second nature to me, and it's probably the same for our students. But with our middle school program, we have 3 different programs within it, or choices that they can choose. We use the hybrid for our traditional model, which would mean that the students are receiving live instruction in language arts and math every day with our district curriculum, following the same scope and sequence and pacing. So if a student did come into our program and then returned to their traditional site, they wouldn't skip a beat. Okay, so that's one of the nice fluid pieces, because there's a lot of reasons students might need independent study. The other part is then the students are learning independently using a program called Edgenuity. It's our online learning platform. It's very rigorous, but yet the students are learning. It's got a lot of adaptable features within it, with guided notes and e-notes, and so the students are really learning how to listen for those key content from a videotaped instruction, then also how to use these framework of notes to write in them and then use them for their studying. So again, we're building in kind of some soft AVID skills with this. And then they also have a consultative teacher who is meeting with them every day to go over any questions that they have for their testing. They do Edgenuity for their science, social studies, and PE. With the PE program, there is video supports on proper ways to warming up, cooling down, stretching, and then they need to move their body 40 minutes per day and log that. One of the neat features is that we also, besides our traditional route that we do, if a student is super, super independent, and we have seen that they would be, and we've got great parent support, they can do 100% just through Edgenuity with a teacher support person. It's a very rare group of kids that would go that route. And then we also offer the opportunity of co-enrollment. So a lot of students have either been in independent study or homeschooling for a period of time. They want to kind of dip their toe back in, see if they're comfortable with that. Or they want to be involved in some electives that we don't offer, or in some activities or leadership in the unified PE. So we do have quite a few students that have the co-enrollment at their traditional site. With MCA Independent Study, which is our high school program for 9th through 12th graders, they are using Edgenuity entirely. So they go 100% independent, which is one of the reasons why we scaffolded the middle school, where they do part with Edgenuity to get comfortable, because if that's the pathway, we want it to be a seamless transition. But if it's not the pathway, we want to make sure that they're also already engaged with our current curriculum and the different co-enrollment options. With Edgenuity, one thing that's pretty awesome is that it is A through G and NCAA approved. It's great for our students who are independent, students who really want to be working at their own pace. They want to be able to rewind things, see it maybe a second time. They get distracted in class. Maybe there's different things going on. So we want to make sure, but again, the rigor is there, and I'm excited to share some of the numbers that prove that. Again, we do have the co-enrollment, so we have a lot of students that are either student athletes, they're involved in leadership, cheer, or other activities. Maybe they want to take their science or math in person to get the hands-on experience. So again, we're partnering with our high schools so that we've got this, like, I don't know, brother-sister kind of relationship. So a lot of times I know that I've heard from people saying, why would somebody want to still do independent study? We went through COVID, went through the shutdown, like what would be a reason somebody would want this? So I wanted to just bring up a couple of the stories that I've heard from families. A lot of times if they're elite athletes or in like the entertainment industry, having that extra flexibility with time, because now they can get to those individualized coaches in hours that nobody else is using them. A lot of them want the flexible hours. They prefer to direct themselves with learning. There are some that are more challenging when we talk about needing to help support the family with work, having significant medical or health concerns that they cannot be on campus, housing instability, or just have moved into the district. We've got families with transportation as a challenge, some in residential. But again, a lot of the time, students just want to be able to learn at their own pace and not be distracted. All right, this is my favorite slide because it shows a lot of what is a product of our students in independent study. So when looking at our CASP data, I was able to identify that 75% of our 6th grade students met or exceeded the language arts goal. met or exceeded on the branch, and that was 17% higher than their peers throughout the district. So again, we want to make sure that they're not slipping behind, because a lot of times the thought is, independent study, you slip behind. 86% of seventh graders met or exceeded the language arts. That was 21% above their peers in our district. 61% of our eighth graders met or exceeded the science, and that was 15% above. One reason why this stands out to me is because the science is 100% done through Edgenuity. So that is just showing the rigor of that online platform and what the students are able to rise and learn from it. Because a lot of times you can think it might be disconnected, but we can see that. And then something else I'm really excited about is year to year, we have 45 to 57% of our students who receive honor roll with a 3.0 or higher. At this time, I would like to introduce our middle school student voice.
Hi everyone, my name is Gabriel David. I am a 7th grade student at Learn at Home, and I have been here for 5 years now. When I first began at Learn at Home was TK to 8th grade. From 2nd to 5th grade, I had full days of live instruction. At the beginning of 3rd grade, I was accelerated to 4th. In middle school now, we have live instruction for ELA and math. And in between or after classes, we have grace periods or long breaks where we can finish up Edgenuity, homework, or any extra assignments that we did not get to finish previously or before. We also have Edgenuity, as stated before. It is very easy to use because we have our own time, we are not stressed, and we do not have any distractions with us. My favorite memories with Learn at Home were specific Fridays, or Fun Fridays as we called it, and field trips. During those Fun Fridays, we got to play, eat snacks, and meet up with our peers from either the same or other grade levels. On the topic of field trips, we went to quite a few places, such as museums, I think zoos. However, out of all the field trips, one of them stands out to me the most. It was a field trip to this art gallery and store hybrid called metallography. During and after the field trip, we got to learn about the photographers behind the art, their processes for taking the photos, and how the workers at metallography were able to make the art put it onto sheets of metal. We also went to the Hemet Ryan attack base and an old train museum, which was once a rail yard. I enjoy learning at Learn at Home because, aside from great teaching, I get to do broadcasting, art time with Mr. Knapp, and as well as access to apps and websites such as Canva, Cami, etc. We also get to play games for quiz preparations, such as Kahoot or GameKit. Not only are we preparing for an important part of the year, but we are also enjoying the time throughout the game. While I'm on the topic of the overall learning experience, I know that my peers and I, as I said earlier, get long grace periods. Speaking of the grace periods, is also a good time to finish up assignments that we didn't have enough time to finish earlier. The reason why we chose Learn at Home was because of the pandemic. When things got back to normal, we chose to stay at Learn at Home because of the convenience to me and my family. We didn't have to go out, we didn't have to spend a lot of time in traffic during pickups, and during supply pickups, it's very rare, and plus we don't have to go outside, we get to stay in the comfort of our home. And because we're not in front of our classmates, or at least in person, we don't have as many distractions to bother us or to take us away from the classes. With Edgenuity, I'm enjoying it because we get to study with our own time rather than having explicit due dates for each lesson. There are also times when I need to go back to the lesson, which normally cannot be done in a traditional class setting. Plus, I have all the time I need, as I have stated earlier. I can work without any stress or distractions, and I can take my time to understand the lesson questions. Thank you for your time, and are there any questions?
Yeah, does Ingenuity offer foreign languages? They do?
Yes.
Okay. At the high school level, okay.
We actually have, we have a couple eighth graders taking the Spanish one.
Okay.
And the math one. So they're
Okay.
taking freshman classes.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you. You won't be able to answer this, but I'm going to direct it to you. For middle school, how many students do you have, if like for middle school?
We're at about 85.
85? Okay, wow. So, and then about how many high school?
175. 175 with our reverse.
81 or 82 as of today, but then we also serve about 115 reverse co-enrolled kids. So what reverse co-enroll would be is that we have students all over the district that need to take additional courses. So if you're at Vista Murrieta and you're in the band and you're in leadership and you can't fit in an additional course that you need, rather than compromise that program and say, oh, well, I can't do these two things, I can take modern world history through Ingenuity. I can pick up Spanish. I can take a different course. So we service about 350 kids district-wide on a regular basis through our programs. So it sounds like when you look at the initial numbers, you're like, oh, we have 110 there and 15 here, but it's adding up, and we're seeing, which I think Jody will see on our slide, we're seeing a major swell right now, especially with athletes. We're getting a lot more athletes that are deciding they need to meet with their volleyball training coach in the middle of the morning, so they want to go to independent study. I think we've added like 7 athletes from our own district who just needed more flexibility, and this is good because they can stay connected, they can play CIF sports at their schools and get what they need.
And then when they come in person, do they go to MCA on the campus? Is that where they go?
They could, yes.
They could.
But they co-enroll at the high schools.
Or they could go there.
We have students co-enroll.
Just depending
all over the
wherever.
district at Vista, MV, Mesa, and MCA, who all do independent study.
Does the district provide the device for them, or you use your own device?
No special device just for them.
Special device. Oh.
So we have a device, the headphones, all that. We teach them all the digital proficiency and how to have your location, your space, and time. Because in the program that Gabriel's in, it's very regimented. They're live in the morning, so they're on live for about 3 hours every day with a teacher. And as you can see from the test results, they're doing amazing. You know, our math and language arts, they're ahead in scope and sequence, and they're doing well, probably because there's not the classroom management, there's not all the distractions, there's students who want to be there, and they're motivated to get stuff done. So, a little bit off the slide, I know.
Oh no, I like, but the test scores, that's really impressive. Thank you.
Yeah, and on that note, it sounded like you were trying to understand, our middle school campus is actually located where the annex was, which is at the exit of Murrieta Valley High School. It's like those dusty pink portables. So that's our middle school, and then the high school is just around the corner over at Murrieta Canyon. All right. All right, now let's look at some awesome numbers for our high school independent study. 77, this is going to be for 11th grade because CASP is only taken for 11th grade in high school. So 77% of our students met or exceeded an ELA. 19% more met or exceeded the standard on CAST compared to their 11th grade peers. 30% increased in, we got a 30% increase in our full-time enrollment just this year, and this semester has been a huge increase. I'm doing like, say, anywhere from 3 to 5 intakes a day. We got a 93% increase in reverse co-enrollment, so really making sure that our counselors at our counterpart high schools are aware of what we can provide and how we can add some flexibility into the scheduling so students can be involved in CTE pathways as well as involved in extracurriculars and sports. So we're really making it a nice partnership. And the 175 was the number I ran when I pulled our reverse co-enroll and our full-time IS students. At this point, I would love to introduce our high school student voice.
Hello, my name is Mason, and I'm a 9th grade student. I'm here to talk about why Learn at Home, along with dual enrollment, has been important for me and why it can be a valuable option for students like me across the district. The Learn at Home program has allowed me to take responsibility for my own learning. It requires self-discipline, time management, and accountability. skills that are essential not just in school, but in college and future careers. Instead of lowering expectations, Learn at Home has raised them for me. Through my time at Learn at Home, I've been able to stay academically engaged while also focusing on my long-term goals. I'm interested in engineering, and this structure has allowed me to work more deeply, stay organized, and truly understand the material rather than just rushing through it. It has also allowed me to have an engineering tutor to help keep me ahead. I want to be clear that Learn at Home is not an easier option. It requires motivation, responsibility, and commitment. But for students who are willing to put in the work, it can be a powerful path to success. My favorite part of Learn at Home is the ability to eat every meal at home, very important for a growing teenager like myself. But honestly, the able to learn at my own pace is my favorite part. My Learn at Home teachers have been amazing. They will make themselves available even if they are busy or not feeling well. While I may not be in person, I feel I have a strong bond with each one of them. My teachers, along with my counselor, have made me feel important and successful. While I may be learning at home, the teachers have still upheld accountability in the classroom. I feel they believe in my future as much as I do, and it means everything to me. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak to you today. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, I have another one. Similar. How about AP classes? Is there a variety of AP classes offered?
I don't know. You can refer to my counselor.
I'll defer to
Okay.
Mr. Bean.
It's progress. Our stumbling block right now is because we house all of our in-house teachers
Yeah.
within MCA.
Mhm.
We have to go through the certification process to get them AP ready. But it is something that we've been talking about within services is how we can incorporate that to provide more flexibility.
Edgenuity does have the courses.
They are available through
They have it.
Ingenuity. It's part of our suite. It's no additional cost. It would just be figuring out the teacher training component. So one of the aspects would be to maybe pull a teacher from one of the comprehensive high schools who already does it and see how we can fit that into their schedule as an independent study option for students who would want that.
So when you graduate, do you graduate at your campus? Sorry,
Yep. Their
MCA?
graduation is all part of ours. So they
Okay, so it
do
is.
senior activities, they do grad night, they do
They get to
prom,
do all that,
They do
okay.
all the same stuff with our MCA students.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent.
One more thing.
I am also co-enrolled with Vista, so I have one class there, which is my engineering, and the rest of my classes like Spanish, PE, math are gonna all be on the Edgenuity. So that's what I usually do. My Spanish teacher is like Miss Keel and all of them.
He wants to go through
Yeah.
the engineering CTE pathway.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So what's it like for you? Like, walk us through a week. Like, what time do you come onto campus, and how was that like getting on and off the school campus?
So for Vista, it's usually switches off. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday and Thursday. So I usually arrive there maybe like 10 minutes early because it's really hard to get to the classes from how many students are there. I have my third period.
Third period. So
Yes.
you're arriving in the middle of the day.
Yes.
Which is better than the first thing in the morning.
Yes.
We heard about the coming on and off campus can be a challenge, and Vista is like not for the faint of heart.
It is really painful to get from one class to another.
So you do get the experience of being around a lot of people for
Yes,
the
sir.
one course, and then in your class with 32, 35 different classmates, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and then you're able to exit campus, and you probably have an ID card and all of that, correct?
They just allow me to leave
Oh, they
because
know
I'm
you.
co-enrolled. Yes, they just ask you to say if you're co-enrolled or not.
So they know you.
And then, yeah.
They've met you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
This was on camera. Students know how to leave.
No, I think we're good.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank
both
you
of these
very
two.
much.
Thank you.
There you go. Thank you.
President Pardue, can I chime in for just a quick second?
Sure.
I love the model. Mrs. Spoon, thank you so much here. I love the numbers, the visual. And so when you say we engage the counselors at the school site, in my mind, something like this could be taken to like the career kind of, the CTE is holding a career tech education, kind of trade show. It would make sense, Dr. Honors, that we see something like this there to show the kids that they have the option, should they go down one of these career pathways, to be able to fulfill their requirements. I mean, this is fantastic. It was a great presentation. Thank you, Mr. Bean and Mrs. Spoon, but great job. I'm like totally stoked about this program. It's amazing.
So, Ms. Briggs, you're talking about something, actually I met with Mr. Bean earlier this week in our regular visits, and there's some additional communications can be provided to our parents and our counselors so they have a deeper understanding of the options available to them. And like our last student who just presented is a great example of a young person who needs part of their day at home, but also wants access to some of the other a specific activity on campus. So that's it's an important option to make sure that both families know, parents know that they have this is available to them. So we talk about trying to, even though there's lots of challenge or comments about the rigorousness or the rigidity of school, like it's only these times these days, the optional programs through Murrieta Canyon Academy, all these alternatives demonstrate that's not true. We can accommodate all kinds of situations and individual student needs. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we had this conversation before, you and I.
Yes, we did.
Regarding Mr. Bean. I'm a huge proponent of this program, and I think the more people, I think if we made it even, brought it to the level of more awareness in terms of our communication, I mean, hit it at every angle that we can, but it's a fantastic program. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next up, item E3, public comments. We have two, so I'm going to skip the president remarks. First up, we have Mr. Jameson Le-Resignol, and followed by Bob Cow.
Good evening, Dr. Andrus, President Pardue, board members, and lots of other really cool and important people. Hey, Madison. I'm here tonight to bring attention to the important decision made regarding integrated versus traditional math sequence without the Math Advisory Committee. Let me repeat, without consulting the Math Advisory Committee. Why doesn't this very important group of math teachers get to have a discussion about the possible change, especially if the vote was really as close as it was, 50-50? Can you please share the details about the vote? We have only seen that it was about 50-50. How many teachers could have voted? How many did vote? What is the actual number of votes for integrated and for traditional? It felt rushed. It was the end of the first semester. It was finals week. We all thought it was kind of a crazy time. I'm guessing it slipped right past some people. I also heard we have a paid consultant, and I have some questions. Who are they? Is it more than one? How much are we paying them? And why? How were they chosen? What did they do for us? Who did they meet with? Which teachers were involved with this paid consultant, if any? I know I wasn't. I don't think anybody at Murrieta Mesa was. And most importantly, why, again, why do we need a consultant, a paid consultant, when we have a bunch of amazing, dedicated math teachers in the district? President Pardue, I'd like to address your cart before the horse moment on your social media accounts. Why did you post a video on January 7th talking about how we have decided to change back to the traditional math sequence when the teachers had not even heard yet about the change and would not hear until a memo was sent out over 2 weeks later on January 23rd? I'm getting texts and emails from colleagues saying, hey, did you hear? Have you seen this? Here's the link. And I watched your video. I was not happy. So were a lot of other teachers. Also, there's a comment on your post where they asked the question, something to the effect, are we, quote, getting away from the Common Core philosophy? To which you replied, yes, ma'am. The Common Core standards are not changing. The traditional sequence of Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and the integrated sequence of Math 1, 2, and 3 teach the same exact standards, but in a different order. I've got the overviews right here. We've been doing it for years. That being said, your reply back to that commenter simply does not make sense. I'd like to make a request to the board. Please share out the information requested about the paid consultant, along with the requested numbers from the voting, and then take advantage of our hardworking and amazing Math Advisory Committee, of which I'm not a part of. I'm not bragging about myself here. I'm talking about my colleagues. Let them discuss all the information gathered in your research and in the voting, and then make a much more informed decision accordingly. Again, I'm not arguing for integrated or traditional, rather I'm hoping for more transparency in the entire process. This decision has felt very rushed, and many of us didn't realize the decision would be made over the winter holiday break, especially since the Math Advisory Committee, I'm speeding up, I know, had not even met to discuss it. Can we please pause, back up the truck a little bit, and get this done the right way while affording all of our hardworking math teachers the respect they deserve? Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Bob Cow.
Hello, Board. Before I start, can I ask for FOIA requests from the podium here? Because I can, like in other places, like.
There's a process by which you do that. You can speak to Miss, I don't know if he's here today, Mr. Craig Frame. You can also submit it via email, but you can make a statement and it's out there, but still like to have a formal process in place since you're making a formal request, right?
Yeah, it would be a formal request, yeah. The first one would be, okay, we can start now. The first one would be, I'd like to see, when we first started this bond issue, there were a lot of bonds that were sunsetting at, or one bond that was sunsetting now, and there were some of the sunsetting in the future. The one that seems to be sunsetting was the one that was like $20 per month, or excuse me, $20 per 100,000 per year. So what I listened to tonight was that we were just replacing one $50 per 100,000 per year bond with another one that was $50 per $50, the same bond. So that's impossible because this is a $360 billion bond. The bond that we passed the last time, I think, was a $120 million bond. That would be the $20 per 100,000 per year bond. So I'd like to see the bonds when they're sunsetting. I remember seeing that chart before. Again, it's impossible to have the same bond amount, 120 million versus 360 million. And by the way, 360 million at 8% is $1 billion. 360 million at 5% bond is 700 million. That's a lot of money. So they can't be the same. I calculated this bond out before to be a $60 per, it has to be at least a $60 per month bond, and that beats the amount, that beats Props 39 amount, because we only have so many houses, and $360 million is a lot of money. The second one is, okay, when they're sunsetting, I'd like to get a copy, if I could, of the poll that was done by telephone, because I had one person tell me that it was a push poll, meaning that they were pushing the bond and not just asking questions or they're just like, do you like your children to be well educated? Of course you do. But this is actually pushing it, and I'd like to see the questions if I could. So I'd like that as a FOIA request as well as the other one. Having said that, I'll just leave it with there. If we do add a bond, by the way, I'd like to get a charter school in there. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, we have employee organization reports. Our MEA president, Ms. Lisa Murray.
Hello. I apologize in advance. I'm not very prepared for tonight. I just have a list of things here, so I'm going to fumble my way through it. There's just a lot of stuff happening right now that I just wanted to update you on. So first of all, we have been sending members to conferences this year. Twice a year, we have an application for grants to attend conferences that is open to our members, and we've had quite an array of conferences that we have been sending members to. Next weekend, we're sending 4 new teachers to the New Educator Conference down in San Diego, or excuse me, it's in Orange County. Other conferences this year that we have sent people to for professional development are Fall Leadership Conference, which is a CTA conference, but we do not just send them to CTA conferences. We provide grants for other conferences as well. We've sent teachers to phonics conferences and trainings, MTSS, Edu Protocols, Adapted PE, and we have one going to a specialized physics conference coming up soon. So lots of opportunities for our members. The executive board will be attending the Region 4 Fall Leadership Conference the first week of March, which only happens every few years. The theme is Leadership in a Changing World. I think you're all familiar with that. Leadership in a changing world is the story of our lives right now, right? Workshops will be focused on special education and the changes in special education, communication, AI, partnering with parents and community, and building strong teams. In the area of membership for us, we were able to participate in the makeup session of the new hire orientation for the district on January 30th. This was for people who either were unable to attend the one at the beginning of the school year or who had been hired since then. And many of the people that attended were already our members, but the rest of them joined, which is good news. We do have 18 new members since mid-November. We're up to 1,021. Still maintaining over 95% now of our teachers, SLPs, nurses, and psychologists are MEA members. MEA strong. I've done 14 site visits so far this year, most recently at Murrieta Elementary, the Early Learning Center, McElhaney, and today I was at Buchanan. I've got MCA. I can't wait now. MCA is an amazing place, and I can't wait to go visit it again. I've been friends with Mr. Bean for a long time, and his daughter and mine grew up together, but there are a lot of parts of MCA that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. I mean, even I'm always shocked when I hear about everything that's going on over there, so I'm looking forward to that. But what I do want to point out is that all the different sites, all the way from the Early Learning Center, 18-month-olds to 3-year-olds, all the way up to high school and beyond, the concerns are all the same. And I bet you can guess what those are, right? Special education concerns about caseloads and workload, not enough time or support, and safety and compliance concerns. Class sizes, we've heard that all year long. Safety issues due to class sizes that are way too big, and the inability of our teachers to meet the needs of the students. The wide range of student needs in their classes with that many students. There's unrealistic expectations of what can be accomplished in classes this large with such a wide variety of those needs. And it's difficult to maintain those high standards that we want to be able to maintain in this district. And I know our teachers really want that too. Of course, student behavior is a concern, and as I've said before, it's not really about the consequences as much as it is about more of a societal problem. Why are kids behaving this way in the first place? What is the issue? When we went to school, we never would have dreamed of behaving the way some of these students do, mostly because of what would have happened at home, right? Not the school consequence, the other way around. So why has that changed? And all of the above lead to mental health concerns for our teachers. The stress and the burnout. I had one teacher crying today about it, and it's hard. And I know you guys are teachers, and you know that it's just changed a lot. It just feels like a lot of people are out of touch with the realities of post-COVID classrooms, and I would love, and I mentioned this to my friends here down at the district the other day, I would love to see district admin sub one day a year in a classroom from start to finish, following sub-plans, dealing with behavior issues. Just think of the cost saving. One day a year for everybody down here to have to go sub in a classroom. Anyway, I feel like a broken record because I've said all of these things. You've heard me say them all multiple times this year, but we need to do better. We need to do better as a district for our students and our teachers before it's too late. Positive note, upcoming, we have our general membership meeting happening on Tuesday. This is a members-only event. It is a business meeting of our membership. However, we are providing childcare so that our members can attend, and the In-N-Out truck will be there as an added bonus for our members. So we've got a lot of people attending that. We're looking forward to it. And we are also we are partnering with Rotary in the city of Murrieta and the district to host a community cleanup on April 18th, so community outreach, and I will definitely be bringing more details about that when it gets closer. And I think that's everything, so thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, Mr. Freddie Musquez, President of California School Employees Association.
All right. President Pardue, Dr. Andrus, and school board, thank you for allowing me a moment to update you on the classified side. So I want to start off by reading the message we sent out to our members in our February news flyer. And so February is often associated with Valentine's Day, a celebration of love. But within our chapter, we want to highlight a different kind of love, the love we show one another as union siblings. It's a love rooted in appreciation, respect, teamwork, and the sense of family that grows when people stand shoulder to shoulder year after year. Many of us spend more waking hours with our coworkers than with anyone else. Over time, those shared experiences build trust, humor, resilience, and a bond that carries us through difficult moments. That connection is one of our greatest strengths. So this February, let's carry forward that union love, looking out for one another, lifting each other up, and remembering that our strength comes from the relationships we build and protect. When we treat each other like family, we enforce that foundation that keeps our chapter united. So it kind of goes to my update, and so I'd like to acknowledge the continued incredible work that our classified staff put in every day while facing challenges. I believe that our schools could not function without them. And so part of this message, our last meeting, there was a update of trainings that were taking place. And so I'm excited to say that on January 31st, our chapter represented at these trainings, and there were several trainings that day. And so kind of speaking to our message is that these people are willing to go and take these trainings to gain more knowledge and share that knowledge with their coworkers and keep them informed. I say challenges, as mentioned by MEA, our classified staff face the same challenges. That's the behaviors, staffing, and that includes, vacancies and absences, and, school budget. And so I just want them to know that their executive team is committed to addressing these issues and finding positive solutions through collaborative meetings with the district. And so that's my update for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And now superintendent report, Dr. Andrus.
Thank you, President Pardue. Thank you, members of the community who are still with us. It's been an hour and 20 minutes of our board meeting, and especially those waiting for our first action item. Thanks for being patiently out there. Just real quick, we do celebrate this month National Counseling Week. I want to thank Mrs. Spoon, who is here, and the work that she does. But we have many counselors across the district. Every school has at least one. All of our secondary schools have multiple counselors, and they do tremendous work. So we want to thank our counselors for the great work that they do. We have lots of employee things that occur throughout the year, and we'll try and celebrate them when we can. Next, beginning this month in February, all the way through the month of March, our schools are hosting a variety of career fairs and career-related activities. This starts at our elementary grades with little small guest speakers in their classrooms, so our youngest little scholars get a chance to become career aware of careers out there. Our middle schools experience what we call it's the high school kickoff experience, where they get to see the career pathways that are going to take place at the high school level. And then also our high schools, each one's are conducting their own career fair as well this year. Especially want to call attention to an event. The Southern California Regional Trades Fair will be held at Murrieta Valley High School, March 11th. That rotates around. This year we get a chance to host it at MV. This year on March 11th, these are the trades, specifically all the construction and industrial trades that are very important and to our infrastructure, and those are some really good paying jobs. Lastly, just want to call out to the community. I've seen it go out, some reminders. Our facilities master plan survey is open to the public. We encourage our families to participate in completing that survey about their own children's school and what are the priorities around things they'd like to see improved. But you can also go on and highlight other schools or where your school may be going, your child may be going to a different school later on, like if you just have elementary kids, you can still take surveys regarding the middle and high school students, so we encourage you to do that. Or you can take a survey on every school. We'd appreciate the input. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. Board member reports. Ms. Bishop.
Good evening. It's good to be here today. We have still yet to do our meeting with students for our facilities master plan, but it is coming up soon. So I'll have that report when after that meeting. But first I wanted to highlight some athletics from our district. Boys basketball, these are league champions in our district. So boys basketball is league champions for Mesa. Girls basketball, league champions at MV. Boys wrestling were league champions at Vista. And girls water polo were league champions at MV. So I just wanted to look through that and highlight and celebrate those teams in our district. Also, some events that my school, Mesa, has been hosting. We had a Chinese culture event this past weekend. I wasn't able to attend, but I heard lots of great things about it with lots of food and good culture representation. We had our Silent 7 game, which is a basketball game. Vista has a similar one, Crazy 8, where everyone dresses up and is silent for the first 7 points of the game and then goes crazy and storms the court at the 8th point, which is fun and a good camaraderie event for our students. Mesa and MV are currently doing Senior Spies, which is just for the seniors, but it's fun camaraderie again to get to know each other better, and basically you like get a target and you have to get them out, and you can like wear immunities and stuff to protect yourself. So today I was at school with a cowboy hat and a pool noodle like a horse, so that was a bit awkward, but like we talked about, we had high school kickoff at the middle schools, and then it sounds like our middle schools are also doing middle school kickoff for our elementary schools, so that's really cool. MV has a winter dance coming up. Our high schools have Scholar Bowls coming up, which are like trivia events. The high schools have blood drives coming up for students 17 and older to donate blood. We have Mr. Mesa, Mr. Nighthawk, and Mr. Bronco, which are pageants for senior boys at the school. And MV is hosting a cultural rally coming up soon. So that's just kind of like a view into what's happening in student life. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Excuse me. All right, thank you very much. Mrs. Briggs, are you ready to report?
Awesome. I am. I'll make it quick. Before I do that, though, I just wanted to note regarding the math curriculum situation, Mr. President Pardue, I'd like to know if that math advisory committee was brought into the conversation ahead of our decision there. And then also, I think we should take up Mrs. Murray on the offer to have some admin do some sub days, Dr. Andres, just for the what it's worth column. I'm going to put my input. I think it would be great feedback and great to see some, and I'm sure a lot of the admin have been in the classrooms before, but to be able to get back into that experience would be kind of neat to get their feedback, present day, current jobs, all that fun stuff. And so this past month, before or since our last meeting, facilities advisory committee, we've had some meetings before there. But hold on, I wrote it down here because I was so excited about this. When our student rep was talking, was talking about all the student activities happening, I sat in on a meeting for the Latino Pacific Advisory Committee, and they did a planning meeting for an upcoming event. And I'm really super excited about this because I get to help and I get to volunteer at their table. And I've already asked Mrs. Schmidt to come help me with that. But it's an exciting event, I think, in terms of our community, and I'm so grateful for Denora and Corinne and Tamara Dewey for being able to facilitate. This is a huge event that they're putting together, and that it takes a lot of planning, but we got some corporate sponsors to come in and help us out, some business partners in the community, which I'm super excited about, and I'm just grateful for it, because once we tell the business community that there's an opportunity for them to be partner with our district, it's always a game on, let's do it, and let's be a part of it. So I'm very grateful for that collaboration. Raising Cane's is going to be one of them. They're going to be out there passing out some free stuff, merch, all that fun stuff. So it's just a neat event to see. And then I was also part of the Murrieta Lions Club student speech in their first round. And one of the students who won was actually from our district, Christina Fayette. I just wanted to give her a shout out from Murrieta Mesa. And she did a fantastic job. Like, you were riveted from her speech from the time she started talking, and it was instantly the time that she ended was like, wow, that was powerful. But it was such a testament to the teachers who have been with her for all of these years to help kind of bring her to that space. And she did a fantastic job. So shout out to that, and thank you to the Murrieta Lions Club. She won $100 and she moves into the next round, which at the end of it, I believe it's some like crazy 40,000. It's a really large grant that they give to the winner of the nationals for this event. It's a great opportunity for her. And then I also attended the parent student advisory, PTSF advisory meeting with Faith and her team and Tamara. And that was a great meeting. I think it had parents, teachers, district staff, principals, and all around it was a very informative meeting for me to sit in and see the other side of this conversation of what happens at boots on the ground type situation. And I was very grateful for the site principals who showed up. It was pretty amazing. And then lastly, I attended, well, I'm sure President Purdy is probably going to cover this with the meeting that we had with our senator and assemblyman, so I'm going to have you touch on that one for the disparity of funds. But one of the events I went to is called Justice Matters, hosted by Calvary North Murrieta. And it was a dinner with some community leaders to be able to bring awareness and shed light on the human trafficking that's happening right in our region. And it was powerful, I have to tell you. I would invite the entire board to come for the next one whenever they have it. And it was a powerful statistics, the data, what they were showing, and the fact that it's happening in our region. The task force was there to share some of their data. So it's intensely crazy about what happens, but the fact that they have people who are focusing on trying to rectify that and really have a passion and a heart to do that I was very grateful for it. So shout out to Justice Matters and their team, a few people who travel our entire region sharing this information. It was really, really good. So I'm very grateful. Thanks for allowing me to hop in on the meeting up here. And that concludes my report, President Purdy.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Young.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I had to take 2 more trips after my Africa trip because I lost my aunt and I'm losing an uncle on the other side of the family. But I did manage to make it to some activities. For example, I was a judge at the district spelling bee. I've done this every year. As always, the kids were just amazing. It was very well organized. Thank you, Shannon Lopez. And some of these kids could spell words that a lot of adults don't know. We had a discussion about it. I want to congratulate all of them because they really studied a lot to get to that point. And also, it just takes a lot of courage to get on a stage in front of an audience, which is what they managed to do. And I want to congratulate the 3 kids who came out on top. Alicia Chen came in first place, Ryan Coe, second place, Ayla Sashan, I'm not sure if I just said her last name right, came in third place. And I hope to see these kids back next year, plus some that haven't managed to participate yet. I also went to a Unified Bocce Ball. Unified, most of you know, is our local version of the Special Olympics. So we had kids from all 3 Murrieta comprehensive high schools and all 3 Temecula comprehensive high schools. And I do talk about Unified a lot. I'm a big supporter of it. I think it's really important for all the kids involved. The kids who were participants, I think they are somewhat, probably feel like they're on the margins of society and will probably be experiencing this their entire lives. So I just think it was important for them to have the experience of being supported, being cheered on. And the students that were volunteers, the regular ed students, showed so much patience and empathy with these kids. So I think it helps them a lot too. I do think it's important that people learn empathy. And I want to thank the staff. It required a lot of work from all 6 high schools, but especially Murrieta Mesa, since they were the host school. Just thank them for putting this on. And I made it to James and the Giant Peach. I've spent a lot of time at Mesa on Friday, but I've only been in town a week. I had never seen this. I only have name recognition, but it was a really cute play. I think traditionally it's a musical. They didn't put it on as a musical, but it's a cute story about an orphan boy who ends up having to live with 2 abusive aunts. This giant peach appears with adult-sized or kid-sized insects, but they're all, human. But anyway, they befriend him, and the peach somehow, I guess they eat part of the inside, and it becomes something like a spaceship, and he escapes his aunts anyway. And the setting is, I think, England, because the kids had the added challenge of putting on British accents. So this was Mesa's Drama 2 kids. They did a great job. Again, I want to thank the teacher who helped them, because they can't do stuff like this without the teachers helping them. And anyway, this is the end of my report.
All right, thank you very much. And Mrs. Schmidt.
So happy February, everyone. I can't believe how fast this New Year's already flying by. It's already been a busy month already. I was able to complete a few site visits. One was to Alta Murrieta, and I was able to visit the 5th and 3rd grade classes with Dr. Andrus, as well as with Alejandro Vilches, did I say it correctly? It's okay. Who is the SB president at Murrieta Valley. He was there, he wanted to shadow Dr. Andrus and learn more about leadership, so he was there as well. So it was nice to meet him. And then we went into the classrooms, and the classrooms were all amazing, and we got to see some wonderful teaching strategies and lessons taking place. So I had asked the principal, because Alta Murrieta, I think they had the highest CAS scores this year for elementary.
Yes, double-digit growth in language and math.
Yes, so not that CAF scores are everything, but I had recognized them, so I had asked the principal, what is it? What are you guys doing? So other people can do it. But I was just going to say that the principal attributed some of it to the 95 phonics that they're using. It used to be 95%, but it's just 95 right now, right? It's not 95%. Do you know? I'm asking Joe. Is it 95?
It's a variety of names.
It is 95%? Yeah. Okay, sorry. I was just wanting to say it right. I say it 95% phonics, thank you. And their strong PLTs have contributed to their rising scores. And then also she shared that 20% of the teachers are letters trained, which I'm a big fan of, which is the science of reading. And it's basically teaching students how to read, basically, in a nutshell. But it's based on science, the science of your brain, and how the brain learns to read. But I'm a big proponent of this, so I was happy to hear that at least 20% of the teachers have been trained in that. And I'm really hoping that colleges will start just adding this to the college courses for teacher prep, because honestly, and I don't know how that happens, the state has to approve it or whatever, but it really should be taught in a college, their college courses, because my teachers that have gone through it, I've gone through it, even teachers that have retired are like, I wish I would have learned this, 20 years ago. So it's a really great program. I also was able to visit Murrieta Valley High School and observe 4 of their 7 CTE pathways because I only had a little bit of time. I got to see the multimedia pathway, the engineering robotics pathway, the automotive pathway, which if you have a vehicle that is working order, but maybe you don't want anymore, they would love to have, because they said most of all their vehicles are like, they don't work at all. So if it's like kind of running, that would actually be nice if you want to donate it. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. And then finally, I got to see the fire science and EMT pathway. So it was exceptional to see many of these different pathways offered to our students and the opportunities that they have to start on their careers before they even graduate high school. So they have that experience, and some are getting jobs and working and have apprenticeships already before they leave high school. And I would like to give a special thank you to Mr. Fields for giving me a ride on the golf cart to find my car, because otherwise I never would have found where I parked, and it would have taken me forever, and I kind of felt like a celebrity. But on a funny note, I thought I drove my regular car and my husband was out of town, so I have him looking all over for my red car and can't find it, and then, oh, wait a minute, no, I drove my husband's car, so thank you for your patience, Mr. Fields. Then while I was at MV, I stopped in to see Mr. Jones, Monte Jones, who had spoken at our December board meeting on behalf of special education. So he was here not speaking on his class, but basically in support of the special education teachers. And so I finally got an opportunity to go in and visit with him. And his class was amazing and very efficient. And he was out there greeting kids like with the Hulk hands and doing this. He's very energetic, and the kids love him. It was awesome. But I wanted to talk to him about the concerns of the special education teachers, because I know there are many, and I've heard, from Lisa. So I really would like to start digging into that and really want to start productive, solution-oriented discussions on how we can help teachers. So in my own experience, I am aware that many special education teachers do not generally feel supported or included. So again, I'm not speaking on behalf of like this district, specifically for this district, but I'm just speaking generally, but generally that's the consensus. So we were talking about that, and he gave me 4 points that he feels are important to lead conversations and solutions. So these were his 4 points. Safety is the number one, which includes staffing and acute behaviors that we're experiencing now that we really weren't experiencing maybe like when I was in the classroom like 7 years ago. It's changed a lot. Equity, the time to write and prepare IEPs, programs with a collaborative design, and possibly a special ed advisory committee, like setting up something like that. I don't know if we have that already, but these were just his 4 points. So it really seems to me that we need to have more conversations with teachers, maybe at the elementary level, since there are more students entering each year with special needs, especially like in TK and kinder, and then we can't sometimes test them at that age because some of it is just we have to wait and see how they develop as a child. But we want teachers to feel supported, and we want to hear their needs. I would say that from the board. I did ask Jana if she could give a survey to our special education teachers, but also include the instructional assistants because they play a vital role in supporting those teachers and those students, and see what like their top needs are and how we can support them. So when we get that survey up and running, please respond. We're not trying to see who said what or get you like a gotcha moment type thing, because I know as a teacher sometimes we're like, I'm not filling that out because I know they're gonna know it's me and then I'm gonna get in trouble. That's just from my experience, but we really want to see what your needs are so we can support you. So but just I want to remind you, we are limited on what we can do based on the law and legislation and money. So we do need to have these conversations thinking with a solution-oriented mindset, because yes, if we could provide support, instructional assistance for everybody, we would love to, but that's not possible. So I think by just talking about this is the first step. And then after getting and letting those special education teachers know, we do hear you, and we've heard the people that spoke, and we hear and we know there are things that need to be discussed, and we need to start trying to tackle some of these things. And then after getting feedback from the teachers and the instructional assistants, the next level discussions and solutions can be made. But just remember, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, because it's a big, huge problem. And then finally, I was also a judge for the district spelling bee with Dr. Anderson and Nancy. And again, we are so proud of our students, all of them that competed, and for the winners. There was a full house, and it was really neat to see all the families come out to support their students, and the parents were so excited for their students, and the students were all very poised, and we were so proud of them standing up there one by one spelling their words. We're just thinking about that would have been hard for most adults to do, so we just want you to know, students, that we are very proud of you, and we just want to thank you to Shannon Lopez and your team for organizing it. It was a really wonderful event. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. As board president, one thing I would like to say is just how impressed I am. And I know we don't say this a lot, but our board members, everyone who's given a report, we have a very active board. And if you're just listening to all the different levels of engagement, they're engaged and they're listening, and they really want to make sure that they represent not just their constituents well, but that they're understanding what the district's doing and the positive things that the district's doing. And so I'm just impressed listening to how engaged they are and how active they are. One of the reasons why I want to bring that up is what the role of the board is, right? Our role, we're elected officials, and we represent the community. The community puts us up here on the dais. We don't run the district, we count on the experts, and the experts are, of course, the district staff, right? And so they give us the information, and then we are oversight. We kind of see what's going on, and that's basically our role. And we are listening and getting feedback from a variety of different stakeholders, from just seeing the schools, talking to school administrators, talking to different teachers. We get outreach from parents. So many different folks come to us and then ask us, and they have their concerns in a variety of different capacities. And so that's sort of where we're at. For me personally, I'll just say I happen to have had a visit at Alta Murrieta Elementary School. That was the last school. I always said to save the best for last. I have now visited every single school in the district. And I'm just so impressed with the professionalism that I see everywhere I go. Every time I interact with staff, when we had closed session, we were just discussing. I'm so impressed with our district staff and how they conduct their business, and they really should be congratulated on the hard work that they do for us and how professionally they represent us. They do a great job. And as a constituent and a citizen of Murrieta, I'm proud to be a part of this district and to watch what you guys do, because it's we really do have an excellent district. Mrs. Caldwell took me around her school. It was phenomenal to see, and we also got to see Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Marcus's room, which was elementary is just a different world. I'm used to high school, and they're very homey vibe that was going on there, and the teaching and the instruction, and it was just so cute to see the kids, and of course they responded to me coming in like a big giant Neanderthal guy. It was fun, and I always enjoy visiting elementary schools. That was great. I also got to attend a basketball game with Coach Allison Rutledge for the Murrieta Valley Nighthawks. Took home a championship win against Vista Murrieta. I will say the teams both played extremely hard. I do know girls basketball pretty well. Those were two well-coached teams, and the level of competition in our league is really tough. And for Coach Allison to get that, and I know how much work she puts into that program. Also, they were led by a player, senior, Valerie Loritzen, scored 1,500 points in her career, which is an insane amount of points. And she just had a phenomenal game, and I just love seeing the hard work that the kids put in. So I wanted to give them a shout out as well. Some of the things that have come up, and I do want to address the math issue. Where we're coming from, as a school board, we do have significant authority in selecting curriculum and deciding what's going to be there. We have to work within the state. And there's a lot of people, as I came on the board, one of the things that came up, I think, especially early on, was this idea of trying to rebuild trust within the community. Parents are concerned about what's going on in our schools. And sometimes it's beyond us. We are doing a really good job, and a good example of that was walkouts that just happened. In our district, we had 2 kids get hit by a car, and it was pretty problematic. And for us, we want to make sure that when we send our kids to school, that they're going to be at school, that they're not going to be in some kind of politically active situation. We want them to be learning. And so what happens in the national news doesn't always reflect what's happening in our district. And so we want to build that confidence and that partnership with the parents. And this is the same when it comes to academics. I know when I first walked, one of the things that came up a lot is that people are concerned about math curriculum for one reason. We changed how we've taught it. And there's a lot of grandparents that are concerned, parents that are concerned. As a teacher, I teach economics, and I have to teach them decimals and fractions and what have you. And some of the kids are like, that's not how we do that anymore. And it's, well, that's interesting. So how am I going to support either my athletes or my students, because I haven't taken math in a long time? And parents have the same concern. How do I help my students? We want to make sure that this aligns with things we know so we can continue to support them in their academic careers. So that's kind of the hole we're in, and then we trust Dr. Andrus and his staff to tell us how much he's communicated to teachers, what the curriculum is, and then we're asked what direction we're going to go, because that's our purview, is which direction are we going to go with this. There has been what I've heard used time and again, this math wars, in which case people aren't, it isn't 100% of teachers or 100% of the community that says we should do math this way or that way. There's people who are always at odds. We acknowledge that. I don't think anyone's saying, you know, everyone's on board with this. And we do want to communicate. So the holes that you had acknowledged, you know, we'll have those conversations, because my understanding was that the teachers had the information. I wouldn't have put that information out. My response was mostly to, you know, I didn't know fully, you know, I'm not a math teacher, exactly what this entails, but I want to be as transparent as possible. I'm not trying to, none of us are trying to sneak anything by you, because not only do I want to mend that relationship with parents, but also with teachers. And I know we've had a number of meetings with Lisa Murray and other MEA presidents where we work better as a community when we have open conversation and dialogue. And it's part of why I want to address your issues directly from the dais, even though that's not protocol. I think it's important. You came out here. I'd like to be able to respond to it. So we want to be able to work that way with the teachers groups, and just like Mrs. Briggs had mentioned, you know, she's concerned, we're all concerned. We want to make sure people feel like they're involved in that process. But at the time when we did make that decision, it was kind of, we need to know what books to order, which direction are you feeling the board's going to go, and it was something that I had talked to Dr. Andrus about, thinking that all the boxes were checked. And we can revisit, but we're kind of down that road already. I think that bridge has been crossed. With that being said, Dr. Sugi Sorensen is actually, was just as an advisor, because he's knee-deep in this idea. He's a JPL guy. He gave a great presentation about math wars, the different debates about what's, you know, been going on nationwide over math, and having worked in JPL, his frustration was that we don't have enough kids in America rising to the level of those advanced math courses and becoming instructors and all those things. So he really wanted to be involved in that. And I was very interested in his presentation. I thought he did a stellar job, and wanted to connect him with our professionals here to be able to have those conversations. And I think he'd be more than happy to have conversations with our teachers as well, whatever involvement we want to do, or however that helps. All right, and the other issue was the big one for me as a board president, because I brought this up before. I want our constituents to know that we've tried to find every way possible to get money for our district. If we pursue a bond, and we had that great presentation earlier, that is property taxes, but those funds don't go towards teacher salaries, right? And so when we decide to meet, and I've been in conversation with local leaders all the time, in a variety of different ways, and had conversations about the need to meet. And I was very blessed that Dr. Andrus and Darren Daniels was able to put together that meeting with Kelly Ciarto, Senator Kelly Ciarto, and Assemblymember Kate Sanchez, to discuss a big disparity in our funding. And that creates a huge problem for our teachers, get underpaid because as a result of that. So we have these big gaps, even though we have the same size district. And I think the example James used, James was there and was just an all-star. By the way, I'm gonna give a shout out to James because he did provide so much detail for Senator Ciarto and Assemblymember Sanchez. They were stunned. They were absolutely stunned to see that disparity. And what I'm really proud of is our district continues to perform so at the top of Riverside County, yet LCAP funding is half. And we want to try to right that ship, especially before we start asking our constituents to extend this bond measure. So I want our constituents to know and understand that we've done everything we can to get all the dollars we can. And additionally, the bond's not going to change the issues for teachers, right? So if we can work in partnership with our elected officials and try to bring awareness to those disparities and see if we can get some dollars back to our districts and districts like us, that's exactly what we want to do, and that's exactly how I want to be able to use this position on the school board. So for me, that was a big deal. It was a huge accomplishment. I thought the meeting was a phenomenal success. So Mr. Daniels, thank you so much for putting that together. I thought you guys represented our district so well, providing those details, and James, you already know. So the other thing to really consider, and I'm actually really proud too of our community, because we're trying, and I really appreciate the efforts. I notice the efforts of people trying to let the community know, we have declining enrollments. We are trying to mend that trust factor to let people know that we have really strong schools. We're not trying to do anything nefarious. We really want to try to partner with the parents in the community. And I really want some of the parents to understand the struggles that we have for the teachers and keeping that classroom environment safe. Because I'd like to see our profession grow and people enjoy being in the classroom. Mrs. Murray, I will tell you, if I period sub for a sophomore or freshman class, I know that I'm going to walk in that environment. I'm going to have to send at least one kid to the office, guaranteed. And I don't go in as this intimidating force, but I'm not going to allow kids to curse or carry on. And they almost always test a sub every single blessed time. And I want the teachers to be tough and support those subs. I want administrators to be tough to support the teachers in the classroom. I want to make sure that's a safe environment for kids to learn and for teachers to teach. So that's a big priority for me. Thank you so much. I was a little long-winded, but I wanted to get all that off my chest. And that concludes our reports.
Mr. Pardue, can I just clarify something real quick?
Oh, sure.
You said during the student walkouts, in our district, 2 students were hit. That's not Murrieta Valley.
Oh, my bad. Yes, let's clarify. I'm sorry. I teach in Parish Union High School District. In Parish Union High School District, there was a walkout, and 2 students from that district, they walked out and they did get hit, and that was a big problem. I want these things end up in the news. Our district does an excellent job of taking care of our kids. We did not have an incident like that.
Here.
Let's make sure we're very clear. Thank you, Dr. Andrus, for that. Sorry, I turned my mic off, and I'm the one who's got to keep talking. All right, consent calendar. Consent calendar items are voted on collectively as a group. Upon board member request, items may be removed from the consent calendar for discussion and individual action. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar's items F1 through F7 as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Ms. Briggs.
We
We're
might have
voting.
just lost her.
Like she's gone.
Sorry, my battery was running low. I'm here.
Okay.
We're voting on the consent calendar, Mrs. Briggs. We wanted to hear you. We had a motion and a second, and now we're roll call vote. You're yes? Yes. Okay. Mr. Pardue, yes. Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Action items. Item G1, adoption of resolution number 252609, recognizing School Resource Officer Appreciation Day, February 15th, 2026. That calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Andrus, would you like to present the resolution?
Would you like, well,
Want me to read? Oh, am
Go
I
ahead
reading?
and you can read it, and then we'll call on our partners. I'll call them up to the podium
All right.
while you do the reading and the voting.
Okay. Recognizing School Resource Officer Appreciation Day, February 15th, 2026. This is resolution number 252609. Whereas Murrieta Valley Unified School District recognizes school resource officers, SROs, are dedicated to making schools and children safer. And whereas SROs bridge gaps between youth and law enforcement and embrace a triad concept of school policing, serving in informal counseling, education, and law enforcement roles to support students and communities they serve. And whereas SRO programs across the globe are founded as collaborative efforts by police agencies, law enforcement officers, educators, students, parents, and communities to create safe learning environments, provide valuable resources to school staff members, foster positive relationships with students, and develop strategies to resolve problems that affect youth with the goal of protecting all children so that they can reach their fullest potential. Whereas Murrieta Valley Unified School District acknowledges school resource officers are valuable and essential members of the education community and deserve unwavering respect and support from the public in pursuit of keeping schools and students safe. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Murrieta Valley Unified School District Board of Education hereby recognizes February 15th, 2026 as School Resource Officer Appreciation Day. And now we have a vote. Mrs. Briggs?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Pardue? Yes. Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
So we want to recognize both. We have partners from two different agencies that support our schools. As you know, we've got one of our schools, or a couple of our schools sit right outside the city limits. So we're grateful to have Sergeant Kramer from the Sheriff's Department. She's here representing our Sheriff's Department. And there's our SROs that support those two schools. And then Sergeant Bach, correct, from Murrieta PD. So we want to thank you for all the work that you do to take care of our students. We know we're in regular contact with you all the time. I actually tried to get you to try and participate with us, and you refused because you were protecting us in the pool noodle game, other duties. So we want to thank them for the great work that they do. Would you like to add any comments or share what you do? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure, why not? We just want to thank you guys for the collaboration and partnership that you guys have with the Riverside County Sheriff's Department and the Murrieta Police Department. We are very grateful to have a great partnership with you all. And, you know, just having good working partners makes it so much easier to work with you all. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I'll second that. As well as this resolution, I couldn't have said it any better. We appreciate the board and all of the support that we get on a regular basis from the district. I've only been here for just a few months. I've never had the opportunity to be an SRO or work in the schools, and I've just seen the amazing support from the district. My counterparts at the district, Ryan and Tom, they're awesome to work with on a regular basis. Everybody that I come to, every request that I have, very supportive and very quick to respond all the time. And I couldn't have said it better than this resolution. So thank you again for appreciating all the work that they do on a regular basis.
All right, thank you. Is there a chance we can get a photo with our law enforcement? That would be great. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to pause real quick and be outside for a quick photo. All right, we're back. And moving on to item G2, Measure BB Citizens Oversight Committee update, calls on Darren Daniels, Deputy Superintendent.
Again, thank you very much for a little bit of time tonight. I'd like to invite Paul Parker, the chairperson of the Citizens Oversight Committee for Measure BB. Tonight, he's going to provide you with the Oversight Committee update.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad Eleanor's back because I'm a highly suspicious person, and I believe she went to Hawaii to avoid the pool noodles. And I would tell you that when she comes back, if she comes back, to bring the crew back in with the pool noodles because she deserves that experience. Yeah. I want to tell you, I've lived here 30 years. I live directly across the street from Chevalis, so I feel like I'm a part of the school district literally most days. And but it's been a real pleasure to serve on this committee. I will tell you that Darren and his people do a tremendous job of supporting us. And much like your comment, the professionalism and sense of ownership that they carry into the job and their dedication to trying to make sure that every penny we spend is spent properly is pretty amazing. And it also goes to the people on the committee. We have 9 members right now. Over the years that I've been there, they come and go. So they're fully engaged in making sure that this money is spent properly. The questions they ask, and I think the group that support us would say that they're fully engaged. I will also mention that Tammy, I don't know if she provides you with candy, but she provides us with candy. And the reason I bring this up is this particular mint is special. And never let her get away without providing you with this mint. Maybe not chocolate every time, but this mint needs to be provided. Okay, thank you very much. I'll be quick. The purpose of the committee shall be to inform the public concerning the expenditures of the bond proceeds. The committee shall engage in the following activities to carry out this purpose. Actively review and report on the proper expenditure of taxpayers' money for school construction. Advise the public as to whether the school district is in compliance with the requirements of Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution, and convene to provide oversight for, but not limited to, ensuring that bond revenues are expended only for the construction, reconstruction, rehabilitation, or replacement of school facilities, including the furnishings and equipping of school facilities or the acquisition or lease of real property for school facilities, ensuring that no funds are used for any teacher or administrative salaries or other school operating expense. Our committee participation includes members from all over the community. Robert Gonzalez is an active PTA parent. Amber Perez is a taxpayer organization member. Karen Mashad is an at-large community member and taught at our schools. Maribel Larios is a business representative. Pat Watson is an at-large community member and the only member that never had kids or herself go to the school district, but she was a principal in Chicago and comes to us with a wealth of knowledge. Myself, this says Senior Citizens Group. I don't know. I don't feel very senior most days. Mary Akobian, who's our at-large. Vince Murray, who's an at-large member. Wesley Burkhartz, who is a past president of this committee and is a parent guardian in the district. Our meeting dates last year were February the 10th, May the 12th, August the 4th, and November the 3rd, and we've already met this year. We met on February the 2nd. I will say that we ask, and they're kind enough to help us. We meet off-site sometimes. We met at Murrieta Elementary a couple of times in the last 2 years. We met once this year at the Early Childhood Learning Center, and you know, we're engaged and interested in what the district does. I believe we live in a great community and we have a great school district. All members are encouraged to question expenditures and request to oversee and check up on the projects at their respective schools. Throughout our reviews, No inappropriate expenditures were found this year. The committee has continued to meet quorum and maintain members in elected positions, the chair and vice chair. As a committee, we are proud to report no financial abuses within the scope of the Measure BB funds. In 2026, the committee remains dedicated to overseeing the spending and progress of various projects across the Murrieta Valley Unified School District. Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you.
Aloha.
Thank you.
So let me just add to this report. Measure BB is specific, this committee is specific to this bond measure, Measure BB. Should the district pursue a bond and one is passed by the committee, there'll be a little bit of an overlap while we expend out the rest of BB and a new committee is formed to represent that new measure. And so, again, under the Prop 39 structure, we are required to have this oversight by community members. And so that work, again, assuming we proceed and everything falls into place accordingly, they will continue to have this go on.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, item G3, election of representatives to the California School Board Association Delegate Assembly for Subregion 18A. The board may vote for a total of 6 individuals in Subregion 18A, including write-in candidates. The board may cast no more than 1 vote for any candidate. The following candidates are listed on the ballot. Eleanor Briggs from Murrieta Valley Unified School District. Let's go. Heidi Matthews Dodd from Lake Elsinore. Ben Johnson from Riverside County Board of Ed. Joseph Komrosky from Temecula Unified. Jill Leonard from Lake Elsinore Unified. Cynthia Navarro from Roboland. Linda Porras from Desert Sands. And Stephen Schwartz from Temecula Unified. Does anyone have a preference of who would be on that list?
So we're voting for people that on this list?
Yes.
So we can call their names. So Eleanor Briggs.
Yeah, I thought Eleanor would be a good. Eleanor, you're okay with that?
I would like to add Heidi Dodd,
Okay, Heidi Dodd.
Linda Porras, Stephen Schwartz.
And Linda
Porras.
Ross. And we get 6.
Yeah, you have up to 6. You don't have to have all 6. Like, you don't have to pick 6, but you can only pick 6 as the max.
What if we have more than 6?
I think
We
we're
can
up
vote on
to
them?
5.
You
No,
can,
I mean, if we each say, because I had some other people too, I just started with one.
well,
Okay, who do you have?
Oh, Jill Leonard and Joseph Komrosky.
Okay, and I have Cynthia Navarro. Uh, Seven. And then one of the things Nancy.
does Eleanor have any?
Eleanor, do you have any that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so, I would, if we're taking votes, I would vote for me to be on there, that'd be great. But the only one that I'm not familiar with, maybe somebody can give me insight in, is is it Heidi Dodd on Lake Elsinore?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to know them, I don't really know these people, so.
Yeah, she's been on the board for several years, very supportive of students and academic programs. Yeah, she's been a very solid board member.
So one of the.
Is she currently sitting on this,
Yeah.
on this thing that we're voting for right now?
Yeah, she's an incumbent. When they have an asterisk by their name, they're incumbents.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull that list up right now, I don't have that on my.
Heidi is on the board,
Okay.
Ben Johnson, Cynthia Navarro, Linda Porras are all they're all delegates now. They're incumbents.
Got it, okay. So then I will do myself, Joseph Komrosky, Elsinore is Jill Leonard, and Heidi Dodd, and Ben Johnson. And Cynthia Navarro, those are mine. If we're taking, I don't know how we're doing the voting here.
All right, well, one of my suggestions, is Nancy had a really good point last time, and that was if if there's people we would like to get on the board, then we don't have to vote for 6. And my biggest concern in voting for this is CSBA's position, for example, on SB 274, which is defiance of authority towards teachers, which to me is just a big, big red flag. So we have incumbents that think it's okay for students to be willfully defiant towards a teacher and taking away those tools. CSBA needs a new direction. And that's the #1 reason why I'm not in support of either Heidi Dodd, Linda Porras, or Stephen Schwartz, because I know Stephen Schwartz's position are completely counter to anything we believe in.
I can say that I know them better, and that's absolutely not their position.
Okay, well, so my suggestion would be to keep Eleanor Briggs, Joseph Komrosky, Jill Leonard, and Cynthia Navarro, because I think they better reflect the values of our community.
I want to just remind everybody, this is a nonpartisan organization, and you are only picking people that are in your political group.
I would echo those comments to you as well.
That is absolutely not the case.
Oh, that was odd, because I'm pretty sure we know the political leanings of the people you put up. So with that being said, that's all the more reason for me to make sure that we put in people who have a different position than that. I've seen CSBA, I've been to many of their events, and they are highly, highly partisan. I've seen the poor treatment of anyone who comes in with different ideas, and I'd like to see that organization be much more balanced than it is today. So that's my personal position. So I would like to make a motion to keep 4, and that would be Eleanor Briggs, Joseph Komrosky, Jill Leonard, and Cynthia Navarro. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Well, we can't do it that way. Ms. Young?
No.
Mr. Pardue, yes. Ms. Schmidt?
Yes.
And Ms. Briggs?
Yes.
Okay, so we are voting in the 4, Eleanor Briggs, Joseph Komrosky, Jill Leonard, and Cynthia Navarro. All right, moving on to item G4, approval of personnel report, calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, oops. Calls for roll call vote, Ms. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Pardue, yes. Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G5, student discipline stipulated expulsion case number 2024-2025-136. Mrs. Young will read out. Ms. Briggs. I mean, sorry, I said this wrong. Ms. Young.
Okay. So I move that the Board of Education of the Murrieta Valley Unified School District expel the student for the violation of Education Code 48900A2 under Education Code Section 48915B for the remainder of the 2025-2026 school year and first semester of the 2026 and 2027 school year.
Before a second is made, just let me clarify that this is regarding case number 2025-2026-152.
Yeah.
Just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
You read what was there, but that's the actual case
different-
number is 152.
It was a different
Good.
number.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, Mrs. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Pardue, yes. Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G6, information item 2025-26 LCAP mid-year report. The board has received this report. Item G7, approval of school site single plans for student achievement for the 2025-26 school year. Calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Briggs, roll call vote.
Yes.
Mr. Pardue, yes. Mrs. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G8, Second reading and approval of proposed revisions to administrative regulations. Calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Briggs.
Yes.
Mr. Pardue is a yes. Mrs. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G9, adoption of resolution number 2526-10, self-certifying increased federal micro purchase threshold. Calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Briggs.
Yes.
Mr. Pardue is yes. Mrs. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G10, adoption of resolution number 2526-11, authorization to encumber funds for fiscal year 2026-27. Calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Briggs.
Yes.
Mr. Pardue's yes. Mrs. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item G11, approval of short list of qualified firms for architectural services for various projects per request for qualifications, RFQ number 2025-2604. Calls for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Briggs.
Yes.
Mr. Pardue's yes. Mrs. Schmidt.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Item J, adjournment. I call for a motion to adjourn the Board of Education meeting. I'm going to get this time wrong again. 7:21.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mrs. Briggs.
Yes.
Mr. Pardue, yes. Mrs. Schmidt.
Yes.
Mrs. Young.
Yes.
Ms. Young, sorry. Motion carries 4-0. We are adjourned.